All right. I'm in the office today. And hopefully the sound is great. It might echo a bit. All right. I think it'll be okay. I'm going to share my screen here, the Kindle. We're doing Hexagram 49 today, and I got this on the 28th of April. So I'm doing a bit of catch up over the weekend. I do more family stuff, which I love. And then on Mondays we hang out with community. I had a backlog. of videos to make, and I think I just didn't want to make any videos. Just listen to my body, listen to the inner truth, and making sure that I do the things that my body is telling me. All right. Hexagram 49. 49. Just going to put my coins down. Hexagram 49. Renewal, revolution, ending fate. The judgment. On your own day, you are believed. Supreme success, furthering through perseverance. Remorse disappears. The cosmic theme of this hexagram is renewal. This word is preferable to revolution because the context of revolution has to do with the way the collective ego proceeds in making radical changes. Renewal has to do with the way the cosmos transforms things constantly from within. The difference between the two is that revolution replaces one form of ego domination by another, while renewal reharmonizes and reunites aspects of ourselves that have been forced or oppressively been held apart. The word revolution also refers to the other negative kinds of changes, venerating what was formerly despised, or replacing an established belief or false enthusiasm with a new belief or new enthusiasm. Renewal, by contrast, implies the inner action of ridding oneself of decadent beliefs. This action restores the personality to its original strength and capabilities in such a way as to engage the helpers. It removes all the impediments that impair the efficient operation of one's naturally perfect inner program. It never replaces one system with another, it only eliminates what is false. Renewal also refers to the changes that are made in another's consciousness when we say the inner no to the ego in him and ask the sage in his presence to displace it. This allows the other to shed the ego aspect that is active in a particular circumstance and relate from his true feelings. It is not a permanent change, but it brings out the best in that person during that time and overcomes obstacles that would appear insurmountable. Relating to others in this way on a daily basis strengthens their relationship with the sage, enabling them to recognize that the sage exists, allowing them a glimpse of their true feelings and to sense that something out of the ordinary has been present in the situation. The ordinary referring to the parallel reality created by the collective ego. Renewal also addresses the way a fate can be ended. The fate addressed by this hexagram has been created by a person's mistaken beliefs about the origin of fate, as when he sees fate as the decree of a higher will as written in the stars, in the lines of his hands, or in a script written by himself before he was born, or when he believes in death as an inevitable fate. Such beliefs have drawn people to false conclusions about the origin of fate, and also to false conclusions about how to relate to fate. They fail to recognize that humans are themselves the creators of their fates through acting upon mistaken ideas and beliefs. Mistaken ideas and beliefs invented by the collective ego about the cosmic way. A person's fate may be ended at any time by bringing his understanding into harmony with the cosmos. Otherwise, the fate will run its course, which is a specific time, like that of a prison sentence. The length of time depends upon the degree of obstinacy and rigidity with which the person holds to his mistaken ideas and beliefs. See page 32, Fate. On your own day you are believed can be telling a person that he has the opportunity to end his fate, or that a fate from which he has suffered is coming to an end because it has run its full course. Remorse disappears refers to the blame that is extinguished with the ending of the fate. The person whose fate is coming to an end is being informed that he needs to examine whether he has any feelings of guilt connected with what caused his fate, and if so, to free himself of them. Revolution, in the sense of revolving, that is, turning around, can refer to the way the collective ego turns cosmic truth around to make it fit into its hierarchical ordering. Fate, as a cosmic law, is an example of this. Fate is the cosmic response to discord created by the disharmonious thoughts and actions of humans. It is a law of physics that has nothing personal about it and is easily corrected by a sincere and voluntary retreat of the person from his wrong viewpoint. The collective ego, however, presents fate as the arbitrary judgment of a supernatural feudal lord that is leveled upon people. This gives the erroneous impression that a person can appeal to the supernatural element and make deals with it to spare himself. So I'm just going to add something in here. You might notice that I'm yawning, and yawning for me is a form of emotional discharge. It's a release, holding on to tension in the body. So if you give yourself permission to yawn, and then if we look at denying the animal body, that yawning is looked upon something, oh, don't yawn, it makes it look like you're disinterested, maybe, and it's also your body moving through something. It's allowing your body to be itself. So the more I think we encourage yawning as a populace, and it's so simple, it's a bodily function that we do every day, if not every other day, that will allow us to connect deeper into our animal bodies, which connects to our animal senses, which allows us to connect to our inner truth, okay? Another example of this turning around of cosmic truth is the fact that the collective ego claims that renewal is brought about by making changes. The cosmos, through fate, creates transformation that restores harmony. A person who follows the collective ego's ideas will mistake the symptoms of his problems for its causes, and thus only change its symptoms. He puts the emphasis on changing his opinion, appearance, manners, technique, policies, or place, etc. Spells connected with this hexagram have to do with the mistaken beliefs about fate, such as those mentioned above, or that one must use power to make changes, or that true changes can be made by changing one's viewpoint or by exchanging one human-centered belief for another. Other spells concern mistaken beliefs about how renewal is to occur, as mentioned above. The particular helpers associated with this hexagram, in addition to the helper of transformation, is the helper that brings wrong paths to a halt, and the helper that ends fate. Correcting oneself voluntarily engages the helper of increase. However, increase does not happen if one... let's go. Let's double checking to make sure I am reading from the correct time here. It is 49. Great. Cool. All right. Line 1. Wrapped in the hide of a yellow cow. There is always an opportunity for a person to end his fate if he is willing to question his beliefs about fate. Wrapped in the hide of a yellow cow is a metaphor for someone who is wrapped up in a belief system. The hide represents the tough guardian phrases that justify and protect the mistaken beliefs. They are the first problem a person encounters when there is the need to make inner changes. The guardian phrases prevent him from undertaking self-examination. All right. Examples of some of these. By ridiculing introspection as useless, it can't be that easy, it's just more New Age pabulum, you're way out of your element, this stuff is crazy, and inner work is nonsense. So these are the guardian phrases. By frightening him with regard to the consequences of undertaking this self-renewal, if you dig into fundamentals, you may have to change your whole life. If you do this inner work, your whole inner balance may get disturbed, and the truth you find may be terrible. By suggesting a person's incompetence, the need for a specialist, shaman, spiritual guide, or master, or simply by suggesting that the undertaking will be too difficult. And I know for me, having someone in my life to help me guide through these things has been really beneficial. By suggesting that the time is not ripe, I think I should wait, you can do this later, or that time will take care of the matter. You can outgrow the problem, time will heal it. All these phrases come from the ego, giving it time to regain its power. See page 540, Freeing Yourself from Seed Phrases. Receiving this line can also indicate that a person has just taken on the self-image behind which the ego hides of the truly spiritual person, possibly informed by some ritual. He needs to realize that this is not in harmony with the cosmos and therefore not a way to end his fate. Ridding himself of that self-image, however, can end his fate. Line 2. When one's own day comes, one may create revolution. Starting brings good fortune, no blame. Receiving this line indicates that a person is inwardly ready to face the mistaken beliefs that have created his fate. He now needs to ask for help to identify and free himself from them. This line is the source of the traditional excuse the various regimes in China and elsewhere have given for justifying a revolution brought about by force. I'm going to say that again. This line is the source of the traditional excuse the various regimes in China and elsewhere have given for justifying a revolution brought about by force. Is there anywhere else in the world that justifies their revolutions, may even celebrates with fireworks? Australia as well. The sage counsels that all resorting to changing things by force is against the cosmic harmony and creates a fate for those who proceed in this manner. All mistaken beliefs about 1, the meaning of revolution and how it is to be carried out, and 2, how fate can be ended, are to be corrected by saying the inner no to them and asking for the helper of fate to initiate the corrections needed. In all cases involving the helper of fate, it is necessary to ask the sage through the RTCM whether it is correct to call on this helper. I'm just going to ask it now. 2 no's and a yes. Incorrect. Line 3. Starting brings misfortune. Perseverance brings danger. When talk of revolution has gone the rounds 3 times, one may commit himself and men will believe him. Trying to get free from an oppressive old way of doing things by rushing to a radically different approach means that one is only jumping from one extreme to another, or as it is often put, from the frying pan into the fire. It is in the nature of radical external solutions to generate each other. It is in the nature of radical external solutions to generate each other, keeping people locked in reactionary patterns. In this way, a person is prevented from ridding himself of the root of the problem, which would free him once and for all. The fact that people are ready within themselves to make a fundamental change in their way of life is simply not enough, so long as change has only to do with external conditions. Real changes in the outer circumstances can only come from transformations made within each individual. As this entire volume makes clear, when a person truly understands this, he will cease trying to correct other people by telling them to follow what is true for himself. Instead, he will say the inner no to any displays of ego in them, thus strengthen their true selves. Then others will gather around correct principles within themselves, and a harmonious order will grow from within. Line 4. Remorse disappears. Men believe him. Changing the form of government brings good fortune. It's a bit exciting for the politics amongst us. Remorse disappears. Refers to becoming freed from the oppression of being locked in a fate created by one's mistaken beliefs. Men believe him refers to the confidence he inspires in others through having gained the help of the helpers. Receiving this line can also warn a person against drawing the conclusion that the phrase men believe him authorizes him to lead others. It can also refer to his aspiring to such leadership. In that case, the person needs to rid himself of his self-flattering presumptions. Changing the form of government brings good fortune refers to turning the leadership of the personality over to the true self. The true self understands that to lead means to follow one's inner truth as each unique moment requires, and to ask to be guided by the helpers of the invisible world when there are difficulties or when one has the feeling of now knowing the correct way. Line 5. The great man changes like a tiger. Even before he questions the oracle he has believed. The great man changes like a tiger stands for a person who, with the help of the sage, the great man, has seen a thing with clarity. As a consequence, the weakness he has been feeling is replaced with a true inner strength and inner independence that draws the confidence of others. This confidence is such that people do not question it. The meaning of even before he questions, he is believed. The great man changes like a tiger is also a metaphor for the helper of transformation that has changed the situation in the realm of the atom, thus creating renewal. This line can also indicate a person who does not consult the oracle or who interprets its answer incorrectly because he assumes that he knows what is correct. He therefore creates a fate for himself. Line 6. The sage makes changes like a panther. Without help, only molts in the face. Starting brings misfortune. To be firm and correct brings good fortune. Here, the sage comes, accompanied by the helper of transformation, thus making a needed change in a person complete. Molting only in the face refers to a person who has made a superficial change, as by taking on a new self-image. Starting brings misfortune indicates that this kind of change creates a fate. A person may receive this line when he seeks to compel another who is behaving badly to change. Being firm and correct tells him that the correct action is to say the inner no, and when the other is encroaching outright, to say an outer no. The problem cannot be solved by any use of force. It is important in such circumstances to ask the sage in the other's presence to intervene with the ego in him. All right, it's going to have a drink and then you'll hear my reflections. Now, I got line 6 in this one when I did it a couple of days ago, 2 days ago. Now, it feels like I've had a couple of years in the last 2 days. All right. So, changing the form of government brings good fortune refers to turning the leadership of the personality over to the true self. Now, in the 5 personality patterns, what is explained and taught is that your survival patterns are not only in your ego and thinking mind, they are also in the body. So, and there's multiples of modalities that can help you connect with your body. And I found the one that worked for me, not that I'm trying to convince you, I'm just telling you what my journey was characterology and the 5 personality patterns. Where it didn't matter how much I thought my way through life, no matter how many books that I read, no matter how many things that I thought were going to help me, or all the social proof is like testimonials, right? They're testimonials of like coaches or people that have a practice. I still couldn't get what I wanted. And I knew deep down that I could have the relationships that I wanted, the life that I wanted. But even in that, those things that I wanted, I was still running from the past. I was still running from being imperfect or being destitute or, being alone, being a lonely, living by myself in my own shack person. So and this is the deeper side of shadow work, is acknowledging, well, what are you striving towards that you're actually running from, that you don't want to have a look at? And what I find in a lot of the mainstream personality, and I think this is going to change, and I've mentioned this before in my podcast and other things, even in personal one-on-one conversations with clients, is that while they tell me that they want to see me be the next Tony Robbins or the next thing, it might not get to that point because that's not how we're moving forward. These things are happening at an atomic level. And when things happen at an atomic level, there might not be any hurrah or celebration or whatever is there. It will just happen slowly and silently. There'll be no fanfare, right? And maybe some of you who are familiar with what's going on in the world, and you're one of those truth seekers, or someone who speaks truth, or you're the black sheep, and even all of those can be self-images that we can get attached to, is the statement, and I've mentioned this to a client today, is that the revolution won't be televised. The revolution won't be televised, right? So you won't see it on the news. You might not see it on social media or on someone's TikTok going viral, right? But what you'll do is you will feel it in your body. You might even be feeling it right now. It might have been building for a couple of decades now. And that's okay, because this is something that's outside of your control. And what I see is that those that have been in those positions and those self-images, including myself, will start to feel the pressure that all of those self-images are actually holding us back and denying our desire to speak from our inner truth, from our animal body, from our primal body, from the carnal self that has desires, that knows things, that knows things beyond what the mind knows, right? So in the context of the 5 personality patterns, is that your character, like the part of you that survived in the world, is false. It has been created through many iterations of not getting what you wanted from your mum and your dad. So you create this bodily armoring, or this upward displacement of going into the head, or you merge with the other person. Like you don't acknowledge that you actually have your own boundaries and your own wants and your own needs and your own desires. So you just become one with the other person, and you create this kind of mishmash relationship, right? Or you endure. Like you get into a relationship, you're not quite sure what your yeses and your nos are, but then you just stick it out because you have this thing built into you that life is suffering, Maybe you even chose some religious or some spiritual beliefs that, life is suffering. Right? Life is suffering. I've even mentioned this in podcasts before. I've been asked the question. I said, someone asked me, D asked me, what, do you think that right now that you can't avoid suffering? And I said, yeah, right now we can't avoid suffering, right? Because when I did that podcast, I didn't know then what I know now, which is a lot of people's lives, right? You go on reflection. I didn't know then what I know now, right? Because that's the nature of consciousness. Consciousness uses our feeling to inform itself. So when you feel, consciousness moves at a rate based on its own harmony. When we deny feeling, and I feel that ego and ego armoring is a form of denial of feeling, that when you deny your feelings, then you deny consciousness from evolving. I'm going to use that quote. And in that, the client work that I do is I encourage people to feel. I say things that activate a denied truth so they can feel it, right? I'll capture you in the moment. Hey, what's that thing there? You didn't feel that. Go back and feel that. Don't jump over it, right? Don't try and bypass it. Don't try and give me an excuse. Feel it, right? And in that feeling, and we can see it, consciousness is rapidly being informed by more people that are feeling. It's exciting for me. It's exciting. Like it's exhilarating for me to see people feel, because then you start operating from your true self. So you start creating a true life, right? True love, true. It's true. It's true because it's founded in truth. And these relationship models that have been forged by the ego, like marriage under contract, that you have to stay with the person. So it's beyond that now. It's like you stay together for as long as you are in truth, and then you leave in truth, or you die together in truth, or die separately in truth, because death and being afraid of not being taken care of isn't an issue anymore, because you're handing over life into the cosmic harmony, and life is just full of delicious, delicious, delicious feeling, right? Let's going to jump over to the 6th line here. Being firm and correct tells him that the correct action is to say the inner no when the other is encroaching outright, to say an outer no. And this has been my yoga right now. This has been my mantra, my practice, is saying the inner no. Even in my relationship with Cass, saying the internal no before I need to try and insert some really intelligent thing into the conversation. It's been just saying an inner no to when I can feel any projections or something coming on me, a poison arrow coming on me, or if I just feel they're self-fucking generated, just saying an inner no to them, right? Which makes your yes even much more truthful, right? Last resort is saying the outer no. Last resort is saying the outer no. Because if you don't know how to say your inner no, then your inner yes is going to be even less effective. If you don't know how to say your inner no, your outer no is going to be even less effective. When there's an emphasis on outer action, we assume that by speaking or doing a thing is actually going to change the thing. Yes and no. In my business, all these things that I've been doing, which technically should work, are not working, because the next vehicle for growth for me is my business. So being able to put down the books, put down all the advice that I've been given, and trust that what's going to be, not trust in a faith way, but trust that when I call in the help, what I'm learning right now in the context of this new self-image in the line 6 is making sure that, is this actually me, or have I just adopted another self-image? Because in the context of the 5 personality patterns, the rigid pattern will just put on a brand new self-image. They'll do it very quickly because they're attuned to it. This is the personality or the character that can quite easily become something else to be loved, They've been doing it their entire life. I'm going to become the father now. I'm going to become the warrior now. I'm going to become the protector now. I'm going to become the good boy now. I'm going to become this now, the good girl. I'm going to become the loving wife now, right? You just become these things, and you tap into an archetypal energy, which is egoic. The archetypal energy is egoic, and it's not sustainable because it's not you. The chi is not flowing through you, it's flowing through an artificial model of what has been pre-existing. No one can walk your path for you. Yeah, you need to walk your own path. And sometimes what I've found, and this may or may not be you, is that I do half walk in a footprint of somebody else to see if where I'm actually going. If you weren't modeled by your mother and your father to do this, the introspection required, then like naturally you're going to gravitate towards people who are speaking this kind of truth. And love is the force of attraction. So love, speaking truth is love, which is cosmic harmony, right? You're naturally going to resonate towards love. You want to attract yourself back towards love. Your body remembers what love feels like. So you're going to naturally be attracted to that. When a person truly understands this, he will cease trying to correct other people by telling them to follow what is true for himself. Instead, he will say the inner no to any displays of ego in them, thus strengthen their true selves. Then others will gather around, correct principles within themselves, and a harmonious order will grow within. And this is crossing over with the gene keys here. I can't remember what the gene key number of 49 is. The gene keys is kind of being dissolved out of my awareness. This version of the I Ching is really speaking the truth to me right now. It's that when this ties in with anarchy, okay, and when truth is the currency, when truth is currency, then people that believe that you have to have systems of control, like you have to have police, you have to have governance, you have to have law, all of these things start to fall by the wayside because truth is the currency, truth is the resonance, and anything that is not in resonance with that just naturally vibrates out of that, right? There's no law required, there's nothing else required, it's done, right? So people build laws because they're afraid of what could happen. They're afraid. They get insurance because they're afraid what could happen, right? And if that's in your inner truth to do those things, then great. But if it's not in your inner truth, what is feeding that, right? It's usually fear of death, fear of being destitute, fear of all these other things, right? So to connect with the inner truth and call in the helpers of the invisible world, you'll find alignment again. And that's where I'm at right now. I'm at a deep resetting of alignment. And it's humbling. It's humbling because and I know my entire life, I feel like I've been here for this moment of helping myself in particular connect to this inner harmony. And it's beyond buying a farm and disappearing into the wilderness and living like a hermit. It's about being able to make these internal changes and naturally vibrating this cure, this remedy, this thing, this remembrance to everybody in around me, just to have through conversation, right? If you haven't already bought this book, I mean, for me, I buy them. I've bought this on Kindle. These phrases here, these guardian phrases from the line 1 are really potent, okay? Particularly if you have a partner who doesn't do the inner work, and the inner work is nonsense, right? Or it's just new age pabulum, right? Rubbish. You're way out of your element, right? Because right now it feels like if I was to ask for advice for other people about where I'm at right now in my life, it would be, John, you're way out of your element. How could you do this? How could you? How could you do this? Is an egoic label thrown onto behavior, right? So because I allow myself to float in this space, and then I find the phrases. I find the phrases like, how could you do this, right? Shame. So when I scan the people in my life that would say that to me, how could you do this? I just say an inner no to that ego that's coming at me, right? Which effectively says the inner no as well. of like, no, that guilt doesn't exist. It's not even a thing. So saying no to it is really powerful. What else do I have in here? Fate as punishment, okay, and the human-centered belief. So two things that are really important with all these hexagrams and where we're going is this human-centered belief that we are the center of the universe, that how I should manifest things is some divinely thing that is correct. No, it's not. The part of me that wants to manifest a giant house on a cliff where I can abseil down and go swimming in pristine waters that's uniquely mine, right? Or the part of me that wants to go live in Bali on an 8-figure income with people bringing me coconuts every day and I don't get Bali belly, right? And my kids have got money for the rest of their lives, like legacy. All this kind of stuff is outside of the cosmic way for now because it's being created from an egoic place using egoic strategies. And egoic strategies need other egoic strategies to perpetuate itself. It's the original Ponzi scheme, okay? It's the original Ponzi scheme. We'll actually create some content around that. It's a pyramid scheme where whoever's on the top and giving the information, whoever listens to that information tells everybody else about the information, right? And I feel this truth in the I Ching to be true. And it's been powerful for me creating a relationship with the sage and all of the helpers behind the veil of the invisible world that genuinely just love wanting to help. And that's what I do. I genuinely love helping people. I genuinely love being in service because that's my unique essence that I'm bringing into the world. It's unique to me. What else? Being aware of the feudal lord energy, right? Being aware of looking for something above yourself that needs that you're being punished for or pushing down on. It's not how it is. Coming back and reiterating that belief system is everything is equal. Everything is equal in the universe. It's all equal, right? The ego wants to place on its utility. If you're useful, then you are equal. If you are useful, then you are useful, right? If you are useful, then you are beneficial. And to be worthy of life, you have to be useful and beneficial, right? It's a lie, creates a fate, right? It's a self-belief. It's gross if I was to label it, and it's part of who we are as a society. And I've been there in the transhumanist movement where utility is put on the pedestal and death is put on this negative thing that we have to eliminate, and it's inherently wrong. What else is here? Sage, ego, ego domination. Yeah, revolution here, because the temptation here is to get very uppity about revolution. And we've been doing revolutions since the dawn of humans created clocking time, okay? Or the helpers helped humans create the clocking of time. So in that, can we do it differently this time around? And I think we are, because we're talking about renewal. We're talking about a re-emergence, right? We're talking about let's not just replace what's been done with something else that we think is right. Let's just check in with the cosmic harmony that has an embedded wisdom that's been there for eons, and how we can just come into alignment with that and know that miracles and gifts and synchronicities are the default for life. And to be outside of that is informing you, hey, maybe you're out of alignment. Maybe you're not in your truth, whatever that is for you. Yeah? All right. In your own day, on your own day, you are believed. In your own day, you are believed. And how I interpret that is when you do inner truth work, then you can connect to a truth where you start believing yourself. And while some people might think, oh, that's scary, John, like that's when you create narcissism and dictators and all that kind of stuff. Maybe, but I don't think we've actually hit that point yet in the context of this cycle of renewal and ending this cycle of fate. All right, mad love. Thank you for listening and bearing witness to my contemplations. And I will see you in the next one. Mad love. Bye.